Welcome to Biggest Geekus. We're your hosts. I am Joe.
And I'm Randy.
This is episode 152 of our show, and the date is Tuesday, August 15th, 2023. And we have two special guests, both from Blackwall LLC, DM Blackwall, and Nathan Lindy. Welcome.
Yep. Thanks for having us.
All right.
How's your week been? How's your week been, Joe?
Oh, the same old.
Working like crazy, man.
Yeah.
Blackwall, Lindy, anything new and exciting with you besides, I don't know, maybe a game?
Yeah.
Yeah. We just got Horde Wars Basic up on Big Geek Emporium yesterday, and it looks like things are going well. We haven't really done any advertising yet. We've already got I think 10 of them sold, so that's good.
Right.
And I lost count. It's 10. That's cool.
Yeah, and then I'm hoping that as we go to different events and as we hopefully have some word of mouth spreading as people try the game and play it, I'm hoping that will continue increasing for a while. We'll see though.
Yes. Well, I know I bought my copy and I'm pumped about it.
Awesome. Are you guys? I mean, other than playing with me and Nate in like a month or so, which I'm looking forward to, are you guys planning to try it out at some point?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to get to the table. 100%.
Awesome.
Good.
I may even stop Hyperborea and switch to it right now. You never can tell. Joe would love starting.
Yes, lady. Horde Wars is up for grabs.
Yep.
Buy it, dude. It is the best. Was it $5, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You'll ever spend. Horde Wars Basic.
Right. Horde Wars Basic is $5 on Big Geek Emporium. We may eventually put it on other sites, but if we do, it's going to be probably a $10 product there. So this is effectively a sale price, just so you're aware.
Oh, everybody hear that? Cheap on Big Geek Emporium. Get it now or pay for it later.
Yeah.
All right. Sweet.
And even if you're not necessarily an RPG person,
there goes L trying to jab at us.
It has lots of good things for new game masters and stuff, and just towns and our NPCs and stuff in there, and beautiful art. So just for that, it's good buy as well. But hopefully you sit there and read and try the game.
Yeah, it's only levels 1 through 3 though. The basic one is
4.
4. Okay, 4. Yeah, the art is nice. I took a quick look, as I told you guys today. I was working at school, and I thought it looked pretty slick. I was very pleased. I thought it looked really good. So good job.
Awesome. Hey, Joe, you tried our game the most between you and Randy. Do you want to answer Full Metal Dragon there?
Yes, Full Metal Dragon says, never heard of Horde Wars. Why should I buy it? Because it's fun. It's I know we did kind of a rapid advancement over Cabin Con.
Yeah.
Even if you did your normal advancement that you guys advise in the book, which is 3 or 4 experience points per session, depending on length and whatnot. It still would be pretty decent. It's not the slow slog of the old school 50 million experience points to get the 3rd level kind of crap. And I just thought it was fun. I really just had a lot of fun with it.
Well, you have choices
it's
too,
easy,
right?
You have a small build game.
Yep.
Once you get to the table, it's the rules are pretty simple. Straightforward. Well, straightforward is the best word for it. Simple, maybe not exactly, but definitely straightforward. You roll a d12, add modifiers compared to a target number, and you go from there. It's pretty fun.
Yep. We designed it to be quick at the table, D&D, and there's lots of options, but once you have your options, you go, okay, I can do this. And it's easy to follow along once you have, this is what I can do here. It's designed for, like, I think one of our first encounters when we ever did the system was about 40 goblins against level 1 PCs. And we got done in an hour. which if you think in D&D terms, 40 opponents versus a party of 6, that's
Right.
an hour session.
Large scale combat is fast as well.
Actually, I don't even think it was an hour, but it was one of those, it can be done, and that's where the idea of Horde Wars comes from.
Right. You can
Right.
fight lots of opponents.
That is one of the biggest drawbacks of D20 systems. Lots of opponents means it's a long slog.
And then
Now,
the
go ahead.
Game Master sides too, we try to design it to be as friendly to you as possible.
Yeah, as I said multiple times, I was at Cabin Con and I watched DM Blackwall, and he didn't seem to be fussing with a lot of things. I don't even know if he had a screen. I don't remember if he played with the screen or not. I don't think he did. And you weren't fussing with a lot of stuff. Now, granted, you know the game very well, but I still was thinking as I was playing, I was like, this doesn't seem that hard to adjudicate. So to me, that's pretty cool. I will say this: old school D&D could handle 40 goblins. A couple wizards, both having just by sheer luck memorized the sleep spell. But
That's a
would be
narrow case, though.
Yo, for sure. I'm just being devil's advocate. Patrick Demo's got a comment. He's also played it. He says, I like being able to have actions on other people's turns. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Welcome, Legion. Chris Miller, David Gwill, they're in the house. So
That's the maneuver mechanic.
Yep.
Yep.
yeah, so maneuver's interesting. I think I got it. It feels like is it always on your turn, or is that one of the ones Patrick was talking about where it could be on someone else?
The maneuver is once per round, and you can do it at any time unless the maneuver itself specifies otherwise. So, for example, a knight can block an incoming attack with his maneuver, so there has to be an incoming attack.
Oh, okay.
But if it's I believe the knight as well has smite, which is when you hit with an attack, use smite, the maneuver, to add an extra die of damage.
Right, and then
They
it's
have
an either or.
choice.
Am I gonna try and push in damage, or am I gonna try to protect myself?
And so that gives a lot of agency to that.
So Arnman asks, class based or skill based? It's pretty much class based. I mean, there's skills there.
You get to play kind of 2 classes at once, which is kind of fun.
Right. So it's class based, but not like singular progression.
Right.
Because you're combining 2 careers, and you get the benefits of both of their starting stuff, and then when you level up, you get to choose advancement options from either of those careers. So you can wind up with a pretty different character over time.
Right.
Yeah. That's one of the more interesting things, which now that I have the PDF, I want to really dig into it and start looking. I'm not going to look at all the different options, but I kind of want to see how you can put some things together. And it doesn't seem like from the play also that whatever the players do, there's no reason, at least I haven't seen yet, to panic. Meaning as a DM, oh man, that seems completely busted. Sometimes in games that comes out quick. In 3rd edition, it didn't take very long to see some combos that seemed really stupid. I mean, probably within the first 2 weeks of the release of 3rd edition, everybody knew the Thief Ranger combo, taking 1 level of Ranger, was cheese. I mean, right out the gate. So that was interesting.
Yeah, to answer a couple of the questions, it's a D12 based dice system.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing we really use D20s for is rolling for treasure. And then Rogue is not one of the classes, though we do have a thief and an assassin, so and a deep delver.
Yep.
So you can kind of get there if you'd like to play a rogue.
Right.
A lot of it is you can kind of get like each career is like 1 solid idea or 2 middle ideas together. And so you can put your character, like if you're a thief, that's really what you can do. And also a lot of the roguey stuff like backstab ideas combo for us. But then like if you want to be the rogue dungeon delver, well, that's what the deep delver's for. And so that's kind of was the 2 career thing. Like what version do you want to be? Or are you going to be more the damage dealing assassin using poison and whatnot?
Right. Yes, Elle, we're doing both. I know that it's going to be stressful for everybody here to do more than one thing, but that's what we're going to try. We're starting out. We just got this new product up on the store. and we've been working closely with these folks, and we wanted to make sure we gave everybody the chance to know that it's there.
And to be fair, we're
Side.
totally biased. We like these dudes. They came to Caravan Con. They ran the game. But the truth is, you guys ran that crap almost crap. Sounds horrible. My wife gets frustrated when I say that. Why do you always call my stuff crap? I call everything crap. You guys ran that Joe's nodding. You guys ran that Horde Wars game like nonstop. And people were digging it, dude. They were digging it. So that's high praise. And we have 20 plus gamers that are from all different, flavors of things that they like. So that drew them in. It felt like a slimmed down 3rd edition sort of game, slicing out maybe more, almost like, no, I wouldn't call it 5e, but slicing out all out of the dumb stuff, which is what I liked.
Right. I would say that it's an amalgam of different ideas that I think is well put together.
Thanks. Yeah, we took a lot of time to work on it. I can talk with you sometime about the dice mechanics, Chris, if you're interested. But basically, it's rolling a d12, adding modifiers, and comparing it to a target number. That's the main thing that you're doing. Although we went for attacks, we are very much using crit triggers, including on attack rolls for spells like Fireball, so you can suddenly do double damage. Or you could maybe blind an opponent, depending on what the thing is you're doing, or you could get past their armor, or various other things like that, depending on the weapon or ability you're using.
Right. So you make attack rolls instead of require saving throws a lot of the time for spells.
Yes.
And we do use the other dice for like damage things, like a Fireball is 4d8. And also as a level 1 wizard, red wizard, you can get Fireball straight out of the gate.
Right.
And so you're kind of playing as competent adventurers. You don't have those couple levels. If you breathe on me, I might go down. You are solid.
The chicken next door can take you out.
Yes. But then anyone can take you out because it is very deadly.
Yes. I was going to say, honestly, the D12 mechanic, when you guys talked about it, didn't have me very excited. I was thinking, what are they going to do with this? But when we started playing it, one thing I did notice, it goes to the deadliness. Crits happen quite a bit more often. Things get dicey, no pun intended, pretty quick. So to me, that's great. Combat is like, it's a mess, and I love it.
Yeah, didn't you guys fight like 30 zombies?
Yes, and I do not know. Gosh, who was it? I think it was John was playing not a cleric. What'd you call him? A crusader?
Yeah.
He was the one that keeping everybody up because I was falling, then Greg fell, then I fell. It was like a constant dropping because these things were just swarming the living crap out of us. We couldn't get out of the way.
I don't think I did that part.
And Trent was hiding up in the tree. He was our tank, and he was shooting arrows. Finally, I was like, "Get down, dude! We need you."
Well, he was smart. He barely got touched.
Yeah, smart for him. My Elven Ranger was down there, or my Elven Bowman was down there fighting. Gosh, everything. It was so fun. I think I got a really cool. What was that one power where I could shoot? Not a power, but ability to a straight line shot that goes through people. It's
penetrating shot.
Penetrating shot. You can just do that, and man, just went straight down. Yes, random Rick review. RRR. 31 zombies or 30. He fought 31 zombies. I guess Random Rick has played this. He is on Twitch, it looks like. So yeah. I don't know if when I respond, can I respond to him and he still sees it, I guess? Joe? If I respond on YouTube, does he see it or not?
Well, you should be able to select whether to respond on either one.
Oh.
So if you click the
purple thing?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So, you guys are going to run this at Grand Con next month.
Yep.
Which I'm sad that I can't make it. And when do you see your guys releasing the PDF of the full rules? This is a 190-page PDF you're talking about, though, right? Right now?
Yeah. The basic is. Advanced will be about 360 pages. Wow. Partly because it'll have about twice as many monsters and beasts and stuff for you to encounter. We already have those stat blocks. We've been play testing them for quite a while now. It's really just artwork and layout that we're that we're waiting on and needing to get taken care of.
Very cool.
And then we've got a couple chapters of additional rules, one of which is for nautical adventures. So if you want to go sailing, we want to have a chapter to support that. And then also domain play. You want to, own a castle or wizard tower or whatever it might be, or hire retainers. We want to also support that kind of play.
Right. Yeah, because L's asking, I think this is sort of a comment, but a question too. 360 pages. I don't think there's any fear of it being too many rules, though. It's going to be a lot of like help the DM stuff, set up games, do different sorts of things.
Yep.
Oh yeah, like 40 pages of that is just going to be setting material for you.
So if you don't want to, you can just go, okay, that's there, and I can borrow if I want. It is kind of embedded in the careers and like where do these come from, like historically. But it's there if you want or not. Like the Dominion play, probably about 20 pages. I can't remember how many we came up with, but
Right.
But it gives you the rules to add in as you need, and also gives you the rest to go all the way to level 12, which is kind of our max level for this system because of D12.
Right. Which, even what little I played, I think that's enough. I mean, the characters you're competent level 1, so 12 levels you'll probably be.
I guess that's probably what I enjoy most out of any system that lets you be competent at first level. That really makes me they're not earth shaking, they're not super powerful, but they're competent, and that's good.
Yeah, I mean, you're not afraid. Like if 8 orcs show up, you're not panicking. I mean, they might be tough, but you have a good shot at beating them even at first level. Well, maybe goblins. I never fought an orc, so maybe orcs are ridiculous.
Well, if the rolls go particularly bad for the DM, it can really be amazing what you can pull off. What kind of monsters you can defeat at low level. But that's for a lot of systems. If the DM rolls ones all night, you're going to beat the big bad guy in a lot of games.
Sure.
And one thing that I've and I think we did a reasonable job at accounting for the difference in action economy for how our big kind of boss monsters work. You guys got to see that a little bit with the vampire lord or with the dragon, although the dragon got ambushed by the party, so that didn't go well for him.
We were methodic about that.
But many of the big bads, if they can get something going, they become almost unstoppable.
Right.
Yeah.
So just like the party can do it, the big bads can do it back.
Right.
Well, our preparations, we prepared, and we all, with maybe one exception, hit.
Yep.
I don't think anybody really crit, but we all hit, which was really important.
Now, do you guys envision at some point having like adventure modules for sale to support the GM, or have you even thought about that, or is that not kind of?
So the intent with the setting information isn't that you have 40 pages of junk to read. It's that you're going to have a 2-page spread for each of the countries. And so you can reference that. And it essentially should have a half page of basic information about the country, the culture, any weird laws, that kind of thing. And then it should have 2 or 3 adventures for you to play.
Oh, okay.
That are based on a unique location or a unique thing about that country or region. And
Nice.
So we're effectively embedding a bunch of one-shot adventures that you can use like a module
Gotcha.
in that chapter.
Okay.
And even in basic, if you if you go to near the back of the book, you'll find that there's a sample town with adventures, a full starting adventure, but a sample town with different adventure hooks, traveling merchants who randomly show up and they have their own adventures you can go on, and then some interesting locations just in the starting region.
Gotcha.
And
Lots
so
of adventure seats then.
Yeah.
That's all a good DM really needs.
Yep.
Although a lot of people like all the extra stuff where they can just look in the book and say boop, boop, boop. Yeah.
I like modules. I'm kind of an old school guy. I like adventures, I should say. But that'll be cool. I mean, that's great. Sounds like you got some in there. I think I'm going to like it. Hopefully I can convince you guys to let me write one for you guys.
We would love that.
So that'd be fun.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be fun.
Okay,
Now that I'm a module writer, sort of.
Elle is
Yeah,
wondering,
Fortunately, no. It's a PDF.
does it come with a magnetized needle? Because I will need a compass to navigate that. Now that might be the page count, which really
Right.
isn't all that high,
No.
or it might be 360 as in 360 degrees. So
Yeah.
he might be just making a pun, but
Right.
I want to comment that if it's a comment on page count, I will say that I think that most of the, if not all the game elements are pretty concise, use pretty concise language. So you don't have, with the classes and the races or species, as you guys call them, there's not a lot of flavor text. It's just, here's an elf, and this is what they can do. It's not, from the dawn of time, elves have been around, and they live thousands of years, and they're all edgy and
Leaf lords.
standoffish, and no, there's not any of that. It's
Leaf
just,
edge lords.
Here's an elf. There's a picture of what an elf looks like, and this is what the elf has to offer. And then you let the player determine all the other stuff, which is good.
Yep.
Right. And
Pass is the same way. There's not a lot of gobbledygook in there on the history of the mage and where they came from and who the most famous mages are and mage names and this is what mages wear. No, you have a picture of a mage and you have what the mage offers you.
And when we do have that information, we embed it in the player content. So, for example, there are famous wizards in our setting, and some of them have spells named after them.
Right.
And so you can learn that spell, and then you're like, and so if later you hear about that wizard in an adventure, you're like, oh, it's that guy, the guy who made the spell. Oh, okay. But it's not like, paragraphs of just read all about, a novel we should have written. No, we want you to play a game.
Right.
And we want you to have room to tell your own stories. We want to give you enough stuff that there is adventures to play without any work on your part, but that if you want to, you can just make your own world, or that you can expand within the world we're describing for you and do whatever it is that your group is most interested in.
Right. And there's little bits here like the language names. You're like, what the heck is that language name? And then once you have the setting stuff in there, you'll be able to cross-reference that at some point.
Yeah.
And, then you can learn what it's about, but it doesn't get in your way right there in the page.
I think our man's going to be happy with this, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, no.
He likes lots of random tables.
Yeah,
He's
there's
gonna
We
lots
have
of that.
those actually embedded in a lot of it too, especially all the treasure and even magic weapon design. You would roll to see what it is.
Right.
And for the careers, I believe we have 21 in the Horde Wars.
Correct.
And so as long as you pick one, you have a D20 roll to figure out the other one. And we kind of did that on purpose.
Yeah, fun.
So question, are all 21 careers in the basic book?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
It just doesn't include the high level content for them.
Right. So it goes to 4 levels. You have all the species and all of the professions. You have and all the skills. The things that's missing is 5th level to 12th.
Yep.
And that'll be in the subsequent product.
Exactly.
Okay. Will that also be in PDF on BGE? How are you planning on?
That's the plan. We're planning to do that as a PDF, but we also would like to do a print run. And so we will probably eventually need to do a Kickstarter or something, or we're going to try and get some friends of ours to maybe finance the project ourselves.
Oh, cool.
Either way, though, we'd like to do a print run, and because I like physical books, and when we looked at some polls that were done, it seems like about 70% of role-playing gamers want physical books.
Yep.
Over half of them also want PDFs, but very few only want PDFs.
Yep.
Right. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, that's exciting. That'll be cool. I can't wait to see the physical product. I bet you can't. I can just imagine. Like today, I was at work and I came this close to printing off the whole PDF. It was a little too much for me to try to stick that to my school, but I was like, oh, I didn't, because I remember when you sent us initially way back when, earlier this year, just that tiny little piece, and I printed that off. That was no big deal, but then it was like, 190 pages. But I love a physical book. I think it's great you're going to do it, and I can't wait till that happens. So I think you guys have a game. I think if people give it a shot, it's going to be a hit, dude. It's a good fantasy adventure game.
And like that 190 right now on the basic, I believe 80 pages are just monster stat blocks.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things you can do. There's even tables to do random encounters, and so it's like, and it's very, variations. It's not just the same goblin. We have, I think, 4 or 5 stat blocks for goblins for different types. So you can make entire campaigns just out of this. We're just holding back some of the material because it's for higher level play.
Right.
Like, where are those epic mages? Where are those, epic dragons?
Mm-hmm.
They're coming.
Right. That's exciting.
And then we have an ETA? If you said it, I don't remember an ETA on the final.
So the physical product will take longer. The PDF I'm hoping to have out in the next 12 to 18 months. It's essentially, I'm waiting on art. Based on how we did the layout for this, I should be able to do the PDF layout again in the same way. However, the book layout has to be done very differently and requires some precision in some areas that I'm just not skilled in. And it would be ideal if we could find someone else to do that. Otherwise, I'm going to have some fun learning that.
Gotcha.
Do you know David Gwill?
Not personally, no.
I should connect you to. He helped me a lot. I don't know if he has the time or inclination when that rolls around, but he helped lay out Tygon Falls, did a lot of editing. He's been a big help for me just with my little module that's coming out soon. So I thought it was going to be quick and easy, but Joe's had some technical difficulties, and I'm screwing up my order on Lulu, though it's saved. But he's made what's Dungeons and Delvers? Is that a 300 or 400 page beast?
Oh, at least. I think it's a much bigger.
So you ought to at least chat with him. I'll see if I can get you guys connected. He might still be on the stream. So.
Oh, that'd be great. Oh, one other thing I should note is that when we do the full book, that's essentially going to have an equal or greater amount of content than the 3 core books of D&D put together, of modern D&D, and a much lower page count than those 3 books combined, because of how we're organizing it.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Nice. All right. Well, cool.
Okay, well, congratulations on the inauguration of your book, and we are going to move on to our topic our main topic, which is campaign analysis. So you all meet in a bar. We're basically talking about how you kick off a campaign.
Yeah.
And of course, the stereotypical one is everybody meets in a bar.
Right. So the thing I was wondering, and if I can, Joe, I'll kind of push this. I mean, we'll bring that up, but I think when you're starting this campaign, and again, this is really more about getting the game going, and I do want to talk about starting in a bar, but I had a question about, do you think it would be okay or not okay? Would you guys prefer generating characters together or individually? What do you guys think of that?
Generally, I'm more of a together. That way, everyone feels like they have their role, their niche.
Tavern, sure.
Tavern, yeah. Randy says bar up here, so I just went with that. But yeah, tavern is usually what you talk about.
Sounds more fantastic, more of a
Or the
fantasy
inn.
medieval. Yeah.
Or the inn, which they are not the same thing. But yes, tavern.
So for me, I would prefer I actually like the players not to know what the others are building or what they're choosing. And the reason is, with an exception, if they are already a team, if they're, for example, a band of mercenaries, in that kind of campaign, they should know because they've all known each other for years and been working together and fighting in wars and whatnot and have roles to fill in the squad. But if it's just some people meeting in a bar, that could be anyone. And so I in those situations, I would rather have the players build blind and show up. Now, in our game system, the odds of you having 2 exact duplicates are very, very low. But in something like D&D, the odds go up quite a bit. But I do think that can be quite fun.
I think that'd be interesting if you did. I tell you, if I was playing and me and another guy or gal brought up the same character combo, we found that out. I would love to somehow set up a connection between us in the past. I think that would be neat. It was so random that maybe we trained somehow together, or we knew the same people, or we were from the same area. That would be interesting to do that, but that would be, like you said, pretty unlikely.
Right. Well, it all depends too. I mean, the tavern bar is one gathering spot.
Mm-hmm.
There could be any number of places where it's just a random group of people that happen to be in the same place at the same time. It could be in a market.
Yep.
It could be just on the road traveling, and you all happen to be in the same spot at the same time, and then something shows up and you all get just swept up. Yep. There's all kinds of ways to start it.
I've started a game once where, I don't think Joe was a part of this one, where there was a fire in the town.
Yeah.
And different people were alerted to it in different ways. And it was interesting because I just kind of threw that in there, and it ended up bringing the characters together in just sort of a natural way. So that was kind of cool.
Could all be jailbirds, and there's a jailbreak, and you start out together that way.
I've done that, Joe, where I've had the players start out in loincloths, chained up in cages, and then the NPC, and there's an NPC there who gets executed, and they're next. And they have to figure out how to get out of the situation, or they're all going to die. I've done that as the opener for a campaign twice, actually. And the players were very quick to unite against whoever had captured them.
Right. I think the biggest concern with any of these is roles, and there's the concern with not having too much overlap or stepping on each other's toes. And I know that that's a concern for many people, but I've always thought it'd be cool to have an all mage type character party and see how that would work.
I would say, yeah.
I don't think it's necessary to have a fighter and a cleric and a rogue and a mage. And the idea is you have all your bases covered. You have somebody that can be like a frontline dude that keeps the squishies safe. And then you have the rogue who's kind of the backup, or the cleric. And then the wizard's way back, 100 miles back, lobbing spells over the top of the mage, especially at the fighter. Especially at first level, he lobs his one spell, and then he hides behind a rock. But I think it would be cool.
Wizard School Campaign, says Green Apple. El's got a good question, and this could bring some other starts. He says, if you've never met before, how would you know who to meet? And I don't know if he's being silly, but there is something to that. I think, if you wanted to start the game in kind of a full sandbox mode where they have to eventually come across each other, that could be fun. I think as a DM, though, unless you want it to be a constant series of, okay, I'm going to do stuff with Nathan, now I'm going to do stuff with Joe, and I'm going to do stuff with, DM Blackwall and all that. But you would kind of lead breadcrumbs to the same place, perhaps have the same patron. You could role play the whole scenario where the patron contacts each character individually to bring them together. And that contact could take different forms. If it's a kindly wizard, maybe he knows Joe's mage. Maybe he trained him.
So, if you're going to do that kind of thing, something I've done in a superhero game, and we're probably going to do when we start playtesting the superhero game that we're also working on, is I actually did one session for each player to introduce their character, and the other players came and they played the NPCs.
Ooh, interesting.
And so each person got a turn like being the only superhero the intro for their character. And then we started the campaign, and so they all knew who to meet because they'd already met the characters.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, so we got meet at a tavern, which is classic, and fine if it's L's saying it's not silly. I'm not saying it's silly, like stupid to do it. I'm just saying everybody does it that way. That's pretty standard.
It has utility.
Yeah, and that kind of full sandbox mode, doing each character's build up, like DM Blackwall said. Uh, we also have the default, I called it Mission Impossible in the notes, where you stand at the door of the dungeon. You've been gathered together for this reason. Begin. There's
Right.
nothing wrong with that
Yeah.
either.
No. It's all dependent on what folks want to do at the table and what they're capable of. They may not have the time to want to do a whole lot of preparatory lead into how everybody meets and then they meet. That most of the time, in my experience, people just want to say how they met and have a little blurb about how they might know each other. Maybe they don't. Maybe everybody's strangers. And then the part of the adventure is that they get to know each other. Though, playing the games, you can role play that a little bit, but that kind of gets swept under the rug. So.
Yeah, it very much depends on who your players are. Because some people, they built that whole character just for that opening moment, so they can walk in the door, swoosh the cape, and give you the greatest smile they can do.
Right.
Or fail utterly at that because that's what the character would do. But yeah, it's know your players. And like for me, I had a lot of organized play, so I'm used to the whatever showed up my table. They brought a character and they go.
They
Right?
show up at
I
the
had
door
the
to
privilege of having a 4-barred party try to go through a dungeon fest. That was not ideal. But
What
did it.
system? What system?
Pathfinder 1.
Oh, yeah.
I can see a lot of. Well, I'm thinking 13th Age bards. But
Yeah.
there are certain versions of bards where that would work out really well because depending on now if they they're all bards and then they all pick all the same things for the bard, then yeah, but bards can cover lots of different bases.
Yes.
Spellcaster, healer, fighter, they can do all. I mean, they're not great at fighting, but they're okay.
They might survive. A party like that could do its thing, probably.
It just depends on how the individuals did their thing.
I've started several good comments. I'll get to those in a minute. But what do you think about the phrase, I think, is in media res, where you start, like, I'm thinking like the end, either in the middle of a pitched battle somewhere, already in the dungeon fighting this ogre. I think that's probably pretty cool for a one shot, but I've always been intrigued to do that with a campaign too. Just throw the characters in the middle of something. Joe would be afraid I would take spells from him. I probably wouldn't do that. I would just say, let's just start the fight. Maybe even start the game, roll initiative.
Yeah.
And then work it out after that.
Yeah, that could be fun.
That could be fun. So
I've done that in a campaign where the players began with wiped memories and they started in a battle. So they've all lost their memories and there's a disaster happening, like their ship's being attacked or they're being physically attacked. And so they basically are forced to band together because they are in the action and then try to figure out what even happened. And then one other thing you can do. Well, actually, what did you guys think of the tavern introduction? I think at least one of you played through it. The tavern introduction we ran at Cabin Con, where the party got together at the bar and like we're ordering drinks and had about two turns of role play, and then suddenly the whole town gets attacked. How did you guys feel about that as a character intro?
I liked it. That was exciting, dude.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was very good.
That was the very first adventure. It was the very first session, and didn't know how powerful the enemies were, and there were lots of them. So, but because I play the way I play, I just kicked the door down and went outside and said, "Let's do it," and it ended up being okay. It worked out.
Yeah, I think we gave chase pretty quick. We
because
didn't screw around either.
You DM Blackwall said, "Are you sure you want to do that?"
Yes.
And I said, "Yeah, I think so. I'll just come out here and
see what happens.
Meet them head on."
One thing we haven't mentioned is guarding a caravan. That's another
Done that before.
fairly standard. I don't think that's too bad.
What all the characters are on a wagon train of some kind, and then
Or
their first job that you've accepted for them as a DM is being caravan guards. I mean, you could do that too.
And they don't have to know each other there too. They
Right.
could just be guards just hired that day, and let's see what happens, see how they react. That would be interesting. Let me get a couple of the starred ones, if you don't mind, because we had some good comments. So Green Apple said earlier, my DM last time had us all in the tavern, but we didn't talk to each other. If we didn't want to, plenty of NPCs around. Then we were kidnapped together, and the game began. That's pretty cool.
I was thinking how that could be. It's similar. What I was thinking, where your characters, the place where you were all at, was overrun by slavers,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody was just shanghaied.
Yep.
It's similar to that.
Yep.
That's one way to do it.
You want to do the next one? The next starter one, Joe? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Are you?
I
With
don't
me,
know.
dude?
I don't know what your next starred one is.
Oh,
Is
you
it
can't see my.
I
Oh,
can see your
my
stars.
stars are separate from your stars.
No. I can see your stars.
Okay.
Is it the one from
Top.
Bruce?
Bruce Lombardo, the man, the myth, the legend.
Okay. You saying top doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything. Okay.
No.
Oh, I got to say.
I would
Tom.
rather start the game at a mustering for a militia. That way they could use their background skills or something which was developed with the GM and go from there. Right.
True. Mustering is something we did for Pathfinder Society. We would muster together, and then did you experience that too, Nathan?
Yeah,
The mustering time?
for the bigger events, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah. I usually did signups after a while, but yeah, the mustering and going, okay, who's going where and what, how. But kind of like on that note, the key thing is getting the players to buy into whatever's happening.
Yes.
Like we have this, railroads, not great, but at the same time, this idea of if you don't do anything, something's going to happen, and now you have to react to it.
Right.
And to make sure everyone has the same reaction.
Yep.
Yeah. I understand that folks don't want any direction at all from the DM. And if the DM says there's anything going on whatsoever, it's now a railroad. But, whatever.
There's fast railroads, there's cool railroads, there's scenic ride railroads. Railroads can be fun.
Yeah. So having the opportunity to do whatever you want at all, including sitting on your thumb, as opposed to having a constraint to work within, which actually, in my opinion, builds better imagination and helps people think on their feet better. Because if it's just an open field and you just say, just do something, whatever, it's kind of weird. But if the DM gives hey, this is the situation in town, but then says, what do you do, instead of, well, you do this, which to me would be more of a railroad. But if he says, here's the thing, what do you do? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's a great way to kick things off, and I can bite into that as a player.
Yeah. I think, especially at a con, like a Big Geek Con coming up here soon, my adventure is going to start them in the thick of things, not in media res, but I'm going to have them, no one's deciding to go on the adventure. You're going because it's a convention, and we're not there to just do whatever random thing one player feels like doing at the moment. It's not that I'm not fully getting them in an arm lock, but I'm saying, here's the adventure. Now the whole group would be like, we're not doing it. We're leaving. That's okay. I'll wing it then, but I don't want them to be held to the whims of one single player who decides to just kind of, do his own thing, and everybody else is supposed to be, they understand and plus, especially, I think that we have limited time. If a GM prepares an adventure, you should at least attempt to do it, as long as he's not, arm barring you through it.
Yep. It's not that we're going to become the slavers, or, it could be, but
yeah, they could do it. Point Blank says, I like this one. Patrick Demo, I think, echoed it. You could do a Council of Elrond as a cool way for the heroes to meet. Yeah.
Yep.
Sturdy adventurers drawn together to do this one task, this one doom.
Well, as long as it's not as earth-shaking as the Council of Elrond, especially if you're starting with first-level characters, because first-level characters in most D20-based games have nothing worth anybody's time, right? I know that people will write their background and then they'll say that they're one of the most important figures in all of history. But first level D20 based characters are nobodies.
Yes.
But you can still have Council of Elrond in your village and say, hey, you guys are the only ones around that can do this.
Joe?
Because the rest of us, all we do is, we dig up potatoes out of the field and milk cows. But you guys, you can swing the swords and cast spells. Not many, but you can do that. So you go handle this situation.
Who says the game starts at level 1?
Right. So if you start
Level 10.
Yeah.
You're all BAs.
Yeah. Then you could definitely do a Council of Elrond.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most fun, now this was for a one-shot, but one of the most fun one-shots I ever did was a 35th level invitational for 3.5 D&D. So you could take any of your surviving high-level characters from our previous campaigns, put them at level 35 and come play. And I told them it was an apocalyptic game. And they assumed, naturally, that they had to stop the apocalypse. They were wrong. They were sent to commit it.
Whoa.
Oops.
Yep.
And so that was a really interesting campaign intro, because the campaign intro was the being who summoned these characters going, all right, I have judged this world and it must be destroyed.
Oh, wow.
You are to go destroy it.
You are my hand of doom.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
I've also been in one where I think we're a couple levels beyond 1, but we were the heroes from history for that country.
Right.
And they summon them back thinking they're the greatest heroes on the planet when they were like level 2 soldiers that just got super lucky.
Oh.
Right.
And then
And
the
then the
people are
tails
like,
move.
you're not strong at all. And we're like, no.
I think I've
then
talked.
word of mouth made your tales slightly exaggerated.
Yep.
I've talked about it before. I started a game. It was a Cabin Con game. Joe played in it, where characters were resurrected from the dead because there were no heroes.
Misty
Duncan
Ped for
Bradley.
the win.
Misty Ped. But they were summoned back because they were ancient heroes, like a couple hundred years dead, and they were raised from the dead. The clerics found this scroll of resurrection or multiple resurrections. They were able to resurrect these guys once. Powerful magic had disappeared from the world, and some great evil had arisen, and they needed these heroes because there was no one else like that in the world. And the twist at the end is they decided they wanted to put the players back in the grave after it was over. That didn't end well for the priests.
Well, Darthiac says at DM Blackwall, that is not something you would want to offer me. My 34th level warlock or 36th level thief would be a nightmare to deal with. Well, I think that's the point, right?
I should mention that they were very powerful because those characters were Gestalt characters.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Also, they're not even just a regular one class.
No, it was Clash of Titans.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the thing is, though, but that's the point.
Right.
The point,
Yeah.
they are a nightmare to deal with. So because they're being sent to squash a planet that's been judged, which would be hard for me to do. You would have to pick somebody else to do that.
Yeah.
You got these innocent people right here. Not according to the big guy upstairs. All you guys suck. You got to die.
Because it takes a very different thought of DMing for the high level play than normal play.
Well, in most versions of D&D at high level, it's a DIY. You have to do it yourself because the standard monsters just won't cut the mustard. Not even in Pathfinder.
No.
So you have to really crank them up. David Gwill says, I normally just start the players of the dungeon or en route and handle the background like Firefly. I guess that's the show. Party is together. There's a reason, but we don't know exactly why. That's kind of fun to spend
you
part
can
of the campaign. Yeah.
Make it up on the way. That's how I like to do background.
Oh, Patrick Demo, you might remember this. Did you play in this one, Joe?
No, but you told me about it.
How about the time we all died, went to hell? We had to abort baby souls to be reborn. That was dark. That was a dark time in my life. So, yeah.
There's only one place for you now.
Chris Miller. Here's a nice one. I once ran a game where the player character started as the ghost of fallen adventurers in a dungeon.
Oh.
Nice. Yeah.
Did they have to figure out how to get living again, or was it just
Yeah,
there's
Chris.
plenty of people who run campaigns that are all the characters are undead of one kind or another.
Yeah, true. So if it's a new game, well, let's not forget the new game. In a game you already know, is there ever a reason to start the game with pre-gens? Is that just a convention situation? Has anybody ever played pre-gens at their regular table to start a campaign?
With new players, yes.
Okay.
Oh, and also other than for one shots, sometimes for a short campaign, like if you're planning to do like 3 or 6 sessions and that's the whole thing, then a pre-con's probably fine. Okay. Mostly I try to play much longer ones, but I know some guys who just really enjoy those little short ones and they'll run them and then they'll provide pre-cons for the whatever game system they're using.
Sure.
Yep. The only time I had to use a pre-gen for a long-term game was my character was red misted epically. And they had no way of bringing me back. So they went, well, and we're in an adventure where we're deep in like a jungle. Like there's no extra character that can just wander in. So I had to become one of the pre-generated characters that was joining us on this expedition. So we kind of had what their character was supposed to be, and then we just modified it as a character taken. But it started off completely the pre-gen from the adventure and whatnot. But that was more of a how to make this story work.
Right. Because a monkey wrench was your character got creamed. Chris Miller answers her question. Yes, they learned to use their ghost powers and later got resurrected. Very cool. That's a neat way to do things.
Well, ghosts, if it's the D&D ghost, they're pretty tough.
Yeah, they are.
The old school was 10 to 100 years. They could age you.
I thought it was,
Wasn't it?
10 to 40, but I can't remember. It's been too long. You might be right. I don't know.
It seemed like it was a big number.
When you're starting the campaign, so we've talked about lots of different ways to do it. In general, do you prefer, hey, Red Ship, what's up? He's giving Chris Miller props. Do you prefer that the characters do know each other? Or, I mean, I guess probably DM Blackwall likes them all to have their own little secrets, but do you want to be like, do you want your characters in general, your player characters to like, hey, you're all buddies, let's get to it? Or would you rather just like let them make it and sort of, I don't want to say organically, but let them figure it out as they go, like a David Quill approach. They might, they can be on a mission, but they may know each other for like 2 days. And that's it. Do you have a preference?
I think I do prefer that at least maybe each character has some kind of bond or link to the group. It could be I'm the random person they grabbed from the bar last night,
right,
to make up the numbers. But that way they have a reason to kind of stick it out, unless they got forced to be, you are now the chosen ones of destiny. Go,
Right.
And for me, it depends on the campaign. I've done ones with a fairly extensive, like kind of mini game where the players were basically in a long war together, and it was the end of the war when they start the campaign, and they're on their way home. Mm-hmm. And so they basically made a series of choices about what they did in each battle. And so some of them knew each other better than others because they were in the same actions in the war. And so you can get like detail, and it also affected like their starting equipment and if they had any medals and this kind of thing. Anyway, so I'll do that kind of thing for the right campaign. But sure, in general, the only important thing to me is that they have bought into the reason that we're playing the game in the first place. Not playing role-playing games in general, but that specific campaign. Like if we're playing a campaign where you're all supposed to be pirates, you better show up with a pirate. I don't really care if you know the other characters. You'll get to know them fast enough.
Right.
But as long as you're doing the thing that makes them a group in the first place, you should be good.
Yeah. I've always, go ahead, Joe.
So for me, I treat all the other players at the table like they're NPCs anyway. So it doesn't really, I really don't care.
No one can truly know Joe's characters. It's not possible. He's an enigma wrapped in a riddle.
Yeah. No, I I can roll with whatever. So if the DM says you all know each other and it gives me a little piece of paper, I usually forget it anyway. But I can roll with it, knowing some of the players and what their connection is, or it can be total strangers. I don't have a preference.
I just I'm okay with either one generally, but if they just don't know each other at all and they kind of get slapdash put together for something, I would think, considering that adventuring is so dangerous, you would have to develop something pretty quick. I mean, after the first adventure, you probably would know whether you're going to hang out with these dudes or not.
Right.
You make that decision quick.
There's a difference between you're all thrown together, don't know each other, and you learn about each other through your first adventure, first several days or weeks together, fighting the orcs, and then you figure out whether you like each other.
Right.
It's another thing if you start out with some connection to each other.
Yeah. I forgot what game it was. There's one game. Was it Dungeon World? Not my favorite game at all. But I had a good time playing at Gen Con once. And we basically had to make a connection to the player to your left.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to state, I know, and like if Joe is to my left, he doesn't get to tell me. I say, I know Joe because of this. And it's true, right? And so then Joe looks to the left, I know DM Blackwall's character because of this, right? So you go around there. And I always thought that was kind of a fun way to do something, especially if you're going to do sandboxy, open-ended game, but you want to have some connection between the players to start. So it's not, just you come into a tavern and the DM says, what do you do?
Right. So the sandbox,
I don't know what's happening.
The sandbox still has the box.
Correct.
It has the area. It has
the edges.
It has a starting point, and then you go from there. But if your sandbox is, you are here X and nothing else, and then you just say, what do you do to the players, or what do you want to do to the players? But if you're cool with that, if everybody at the table is used to that style of play,
sure.
then fine. Yeah. But for me, I like a little bit, just a little bit of a starting point. Doesn't have to be a full-blown setting. Just a little starting point. Even if it's just the tavern and the DM really doesn't know what else is outside, but maybe randomly generates it as soon as we step our feet outside the tavern.
I like a fully realized 10-page essay on each character, fully integrated to the campaign world a week before the campaign starts on my computer.
Down to the soil analysis.
That is your homework. Yeah. That is your homework for every single campaign. And yet we play old school, and I'll kill you the first 5 minutes with snakes biting you before you get to attack. Sorry, I'm joking. That would be get you.
I died that way, so that's what.
Have you? Oh, did you have a big background too?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
I've learned, sort of.
Well, Nate loves his 4 hit point wizards.
Yeah.
Oh, this was a monk. It's the last time I played a monk.
Oh, so that's 2 hit point monk.
Yeah.
Martin's trying to remind me. He says, Randy, you forget that you're a math professor, not an English professor. I didn't say I was going to read it.
Yeah,
I just want them to write it.
I was wondering, did you read it? Because I've had that before. I'm like, yeah, I'll look for some keywords here. But I think it is important for you to kind of look at your character and go, should this fit the setting or whatever it is? At least try.
Right.
And not be, we're the guys that stick out everywhere we go because we're the adventuring party. It's normal.
Yeah, adventures. Folks know if you're an adventurer or not.
L's not wrong. No wonder Randy needs Big Geek Con. He needs more players. Yeah, they've all quit on me, L. What's up, dude? Oh man. What else was I going to say?
Well, the adventurers are going to look weird because most of the time they're going to have a motley assortment of equipment picked up from goblins and orcs and whatever. The bandits that they defeated, they're just going to have all kinds of weird gear. They're just not going to look this. They're not going to have, and they're not going to look like the locals if they're not local. So when you come into a new town, that town's going to have somewhat of a homogenous look. That's part of the culture of that town. and your adventures are not going to be that. So they're going to look like outsiders almost everywhere they go. But that might be good because the townspeople, if it's in a D&D campaign or something similar, and adventuring is a thing that not just the players do,
Yep.
and it's a known element of the game where you have people with powers go out and handle situations, then the townsfolk are going to probably know that you're adventurers and that you might be able to help them with their problems. So yes, you're going to be outsiders, and depending on the town, they might kind of look at you with side eye, but in a lot of places, if they have problems to solve, you're going to be the people. They might not send the most reputable people out to you to, be the liaison, but they're going to contact you once you have established yourself a bit, to second or third or fourth level, something like that.
I think it'd be fun to have a town just welcome the adventurers with open arms, give them some free food, even a little bit of gear if they have, clap as they leave the town.
An arranged marriage.
Yes. And then
three.
no arranged marriage. Because then as you head down the trail to the dungeon, you start to see the player character, the old adventurer bodies.
The bodies.
Just laying along the way. They're like, oh crap, go team.
I'm sorry, we forgot to mention. It's
no
really
one's
dangerous.
You can't do this. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've solved the problem. Is there other questions we should ask? That's how you start the campaign, all the ways we showed you.
I have meant to watch Goblin Slayer. Some people have recommended it. Some other people are like Randy's saying, Joe needs to see Goblin Slayer, according to Bruce Lombardo. In the early episodes, the decked out adventurers slam on him, who's the main character, I imagine, for never getting good plate mail. Right.
I've been told that I don't want to see that. That's why I hesitated. Not the full, but I have watched is it the abridged version of it, and it's hilarious, but it's not showing all the crazy. I think
it starts with something not great.
Yeah, I think there's some sexed up stuff and maybe a grape.
So,
at the beginning.
But it's one of those, like, once you get past that, it becomes good. The same thing with Shield Hero, especially when I read the original books of it.
Mm-hmm.
Something really bad happens early on, or at least someone says something happened that never did.
Yeah.
And it's the repercussions after that, which lead to the whole rest of the...
So is it like the first episode or the first kind of introductory couple or 3 episodes that are kind of graphic?
Goblin Slayer, if I remember, really the first episode. I mean, it's brutal, but...
Okay.
According to David, it crops up
a
more
few
than
times.
Yeah. So, I mean, if it's a lot of graphic sexual crap, then, and I find in a lot of
I
these,
actually got it from Comic-Con San Diego.
If it is, then it's going to be for me a kind of a no-go because I mean, why? People will say it's part of the story. Well, you don't. Yeah, it was put there on purpose by the people who wrote the story. It wasn't just it just happened to fall in. Oh, look, there's a sex scene in my anime. How did that get there?
Yeah, but I mean, you could always fade to, call us prudish, call us whatever. I think you could just fade to black on that crap. It's never, when I'm there to watch, an adventure story, and the guys in the comments are talking about what happens to the girl, and it's horrific. And you don't have to go full detail. You don't just show much of nothing. You can just have it fade to black with the goblin looking menacingly.
It can be the shadow of it. The dude goblin takes the chick into a back room, and then there's a scream. There's all kinds of ways to do it without being graphic. But it probably sells a little bit. That's a sales strategy.
Well,
on some level.
And as far as like in role playing games, I don't want that at my game table either. Really, like
sure.
Fading to black or cutting away from the scene effectively is going to be almost always better. I can't think of a situation where it would be better to just continue.
Right.
And I'm not going to crap all over Goblin Slayer. I'm just not going to watch it.
Right. It's not for me.
Yeah. It's not for me. It's for other people.
Mhm.
I don't have to like it.
The abridged version's fun though. There is, I think, one tiny little piece, but Goblin Slayer in the abridged version, he's hilarious.
Okay.
He cracks me up. He's funny as crap.
You don't see penetration. You see the shadows, and then you see silhouettes and screaming. Okay. Well, it might be okay then.
Yeah. There's nothing shown, but it's
It's referred to.
Oh, okay.
That's
nothing
different.
nothing's shown, nothing. It just
All right.
happens, and some people that get really angry about that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
So,
fair.
what was your next question in your list? I haven't seen it.
Oh yes, I have a secret list. See, and not everybody can see it. What did I
You mean
have?
you did not share the outline with these two fine
I
gentlemen?
wanted natural responses. I didn't want any kind of bias, and I knew these two guys could handle it because they're top notch. I think as I was looking, I think I just had some examples. We've given a bunch of examples. I don't feel the need to go through my examples. Do you, Joe? We've given starting examples. We've talked about, and our chat guys have given buttloads of.
Yeah. We got a lot of good examples.
Yeah.
And we're at the hour mark, so we could probably
Yeah.
segue into here soon. But let's all take a nice breath, because we're not all Randy, who jumps right into the segment without even a breath.
But you're running today, so
I'm running it. So we're going to take a breath. We're going to, do some navel gazing. And then everybody out there is going to subscribe.
Right on.
Subscribe, click the like button, the bell notification, comment, share, do all the things that you can do in your app of choice, whether it's here on YouTube or Twitch or Rumble, which I haven't looked at since I started here. I'm a bad person.
I've been looking at Rumble. They're not saying nothing.
Yeah, there's nobody over on Rumble, except for you, which is nobody, so that's okay. Right, so subscribe, do all those things. If you're listening in your audio podcatcher, follow us and share. And if you can find a way to do a review, that'd be great as well.
Yes.
I know I say a lot, so I'm sorry.
Well, I do too. We got to learn. I've been listening to some other people like Ryan David and Nerd Cognito and even Max. They've got something down with the cadence we've got to work on. I talk for a living, but I think I said it on Max's clown or rando RPG thing last week. I don't know. When I teach, I talk like I'm not like all stoic and stuffy. I'm just kind of a regular talk right at you kind of guy. And there you go. I just can't.
Yeah.
Can be able to stop it. I don't know why. I'm weak.
We do this only once a week. So if we were on multiple times a week, we could probably work on more of a professional delivery.
Yes.
But anyway, all that aside, let's talk about our next topic. Let me find the thing. Oh, I got the wrong version because you sent me an extra version.
I did with your, because I kind of liked your update to it. D&D weirdness.
Yes.
Randomness.
This was a last minute weirdness. I don't know if you two have been listening lately, but I've thought of a neat little mini segment idea of the weird things in our hobby. The weird things that go along with the game from the perspective of somebody who lives inside of the pretend world. Mm-hmm. So this one is about why do we, in the RPG sphere, why are we so attached to randomness? Because we always have a die. Why don't we just compare who has the bigger numbers? Does there always need? Okay, we could probably just start with that as a question. Why do you think, Nathan, that randomness is kind of our thing?
Because we want the underdog to win.
What's up, John?
I think it's as simple as that. Is we always say, 9 times out of 10 we would stomp them. But what about the 10th time? And so we're hoping the randomness gets us that 10th time to have the really unique scenario. Like we should be able to take these, dozen goblins. But if they got, our rogue Joe who was stealthing on them, and suddenly our scout's gone, it's a completely different encounter.
Right. So David Will says, biggest geek is if you just compare numbers, bigger always wins. Is that necessarily a bad thing? What Nathan's saying is I believe, is what it sounds like, that the random factor should allow for someone of lesser power to have that chance, even if it's small, to overcome.
That's what Patty Sparler says. The need for the random numbers allows for true heroics. It allows for Dave and Goliath moments.
Well,
Okay.
David hitting Goliath wasn't random.
No, but it was a moment. It looked miraculous to everybody there because
because it was.
Yeah, and randomness allows for miracles.
That was God taking away the player's die and just saying you win.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree. But as it relates to to RPGs and the randomness, It's not just attack rolls and skill checks and these kinds of things. You're also using random numbers for treasure or for generating encounters, or for what's around the next corner in this dungeon, like what kind of room is it, or I'll even use it for randomizing monster behavior. I'll go, okay, so the most likely thing is this, and I'll give and then here's 2 or 3 other things that it might do, and let's roll and see what it does. And I think you get a wider variation in storytelling that way than you would if you just picked.
Well, it also, one of the things I was thinking was that as a question, okay, I think the consensus here is to the question, is there a need for there to be an element of failure and as a corollary for success? So the randomness ensures that there's, even against all odds, there is some chance that you might win. But what you're getting at, DM Blackwall, is kind of a way to remove arbitrariness. So instead of the DM always picking, and we can get in patterns of always picking certain things.
Guilty.
So random roll removes arbitrariness. But is that necessarily always what you want to do?
No, but frequently I've found, especially as I've gotten older, that it increases my enjoyment of the game, even as the DM, because stuff happens that wouldn't have happened otherwise.
As a DM, most of my life, I have not been that way. I found random in the tables, and it's probably Joe always calls me a control freak, and he's not wrong. And I think I like to, unfortunately, craft encounters, which can lead to a bit of what people would call railroading, or I would just say that my adventures are curated, But yeah, I think as I get older and the time I have to invest or want to invest has lessened, I'm more likely to get a little more randomized.
Let's see. So you were talking about DM Blackwall, random tables for various things. What also about like a severity of your success? So in D&D, it's usually just damage. So instead of saying, for a lot of games, instead of saying your attack does X damage all the time, we have a random number in many of the D20 based games and in others, instead of it being a static number. So would that be a mechanic that you could build into the random roll for success or failure? Instead of it just being success or failure, it could be a crit like we kind of do, or just have some other variable effects with the success roll that can affect the severity, instead of having a separate roll for severity, because sometimes the quirkiness of the dice, you roll to hit and you succeed, but you do 1 point of damage, and then damage reduction takes that away, and your hit, it becomes negated, which sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Which is one of the.
Or if you roll a crit, you get a crit and you roll a 1, you get 2 damage. If it's
Yeah.
a double, it's kind of
Right.
dumb. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a crit. Yeah, 2 damage. Because you roll
I've
2
played,
1.
I've played games with flat damage other than when you rolled a crit on the attack, so you weren't rolling for damage. And just from the feedback that I heard, and it didn't seem that people generally like that as much. I don't know why.
Flat damage, they don't like it as much.
Yeah.
Well, people like rolling dice. I think
Yeah.
one of the things about the randomness, us liking randomness and having it in the game, is the fact that we're rolling dice. It's a tactile thing that we like to do.
I think it's connected to this too. David Gwill says randomness adds tension and unpredictability. You need that chance of failure to make the game challenging and fun. I don't know if you need it, but I think it does help.
Right.
I think it also adds to the whole fact it's a game. Enjoy. So kind of like Randy, I am actually a physics college instructor. So numbers is sort of my thing, and I can look at the numbers and go, this is what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I can give a pretty good, prediction. But when enough rolls happen, that prediction can go out the window. And so it's that I need to stay engrossed in this game because things are changing more than I thought they would. Because think of you like watching baseball. They throw, they pitch, they throw, they pitch. And eventually it's that hit that you're really looking, okay, and then it's mostly a fly out or something. You're like, okay. You can kind of watch it and tune in. You're like, okay. But what we're really looking for is that, hey, that's a grand slam moment. Right. And so we kind of, because it's a game, your time is valuable. You kind of want the grand slams to happen more often. Well, how do you get people to set up for it? And that's where the randomness really starts to become a character on its own.
So the excitement sounds like, and a lot of the comments are in line with that excitement part.
That's one of the really cool things for the D12, like Randy mentioned, where we have the max, a natural 12 be a crit. We've almost doubled the odds of you critting compared to a D20 system.
Because it's 12?
Yep.
Right.
Because of the number of sides on the dice?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I saw it happen. I was watching it. We had a lot of crits.
Yeah. There's a higher chance of getting a crit with a smaller die.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just the way things work.
And
I didn't know it. I didn't know that mathematically, but it just seemed like with Savage Worlds,
mm-hmm.
going up on the dice all the time seemed like a diminishing returns. Because the bigger the die,
harder to ace, but more likely to hit.
Yeah.
So you're going to be consistently dealing damage, whereas before you had to really low dice. You're hoping for a really good roll just to hit.
Yeah,
and
once
you have
get
a better
past a certain die type, like D8, on average, you're going to get a lot of successes because the target number is usually 4.
Correct. And by the time you got a D10 or D12, you have bonuses, so you're probably got a target number of 2. So you're going to hit a lot.
So it's kind of overkill, right?
Yeah, and damage is the key, and acing is the key. Yeah.
But if the crit works on a single number, like the 12 with the D12, I can see why that would work better. Well, if you want more crits.
Yeah. Darthea chimes in. We want the randomness because no matter how much you plan, there's always a chance that something can go wrong, and you never know when. Yeah, that's always fun. I think that's part of the fun. And David Gwill commented that in Dungeon and Delvers 2E, which he's working on, when you exceed the monster's AC, you deal more damage based on how high you roll. That might help you out a little bit, Joe, in that scenario you talked about.
Right.
Being stuck with 1 damage no matter what you roll.
Right. Let's see. Do you think that and this is the one part that I didn't get into my thought process, but is almost always part of the weirdness that the segment is how we can lean into it to make our games more exciting and more fun. Is there a way to lean into randomness to improve the experience, especially with subsequent effect rolls, such as making the success roll more pivotal to the severity of the success? So the higher the roll, even discounting a natural 20 being a crit, makes your chance of a better effect possible, especially if it's a hit, but it's a high roll, like David Will was saying. If you hit and you exceed the armor class, you do more damage. That would be cool too. But what do you think about that? Leaning into the randomness to make things even more. Leaning into the randomness even more than we may already do to make the game, the games we play better.
I haven't played the system. I'm getting ready to try a game of Pathfinder 2e, but that's really where they get into a critical success, failure, critical failure. It's basically degrees of what happens.
Right.
And I think people like that idea, but it's the turnaround and make it work. That's the hard part.
Right.
Because
without it being
there, you got essentially 4 possibilities.
Mm-hmm. Pathfinder 2?
Yep.
Yeah, they have variable successes. Yeah.
And so you can roll in and go, okay, what happens? Well, it's this case. Okay, that happens. But you have to have those 4 conditions. When really what we want to know is, did it work? Did it work spectacularly? Or did it just outright fail? Which usually then it's, do we need it to fail spectacularly? That's depends on the person.
Right.
So that's
No, what
the
do you
idea
got?
kind of behind it. And that's like for us, the going to the randomness, go to D12.
Right.
Increases your odds of critting, by lowering the numbers, you make it easier for you to hit, Now in our system, D12, you're rolling, you get usually a +2 and you're looking for like an 8 or a 10. There's quite a bit of the dice where you still need to, and that goes, hey, but as someone who doesn't quit on a D12 very often, which I can attest to, it happens rarely, I generally try to also, because I know the randomness doesn't help me, go out of my way to basically make someone else do the randomness. And so some players, that's how they have to think. They're like, it just doesn't work right for me, whatever randomness, badness or whatnot, or my dice are cursed, or, you add whatever you want. But then, they're still talking about the randomness factor, because really dice have no memory, at least true dice.
Right, unless you have a cheater dice.
Yeah.
Cheater
Right.
dice.
One way to lean into the randomness, though, is to reward those high numbers, like with a crit, getting a stunning effect or a knockback or this kind of thing, because then you'll get more interesting tactics as the players try to make that happen. Like if they know if I crit with this and I'll knock the dude back, they'll position themselves to like knock him off a cliff, and then they'll be trying to get that crit, and you would never have that happen without having added that effect for this random number.
Right.
And then the same is true for leaning into it as far as like narration. I've actually started recently choosing usually 3 options, one weighted, and then taking a D4. And so on a 1 or a 2, the thing that's most likely happens. And then on a 3, another thing might happen. And on a 4, another thing might happen. I tell the players what the possibilities are, and then I have them roll it. And so this is usually when they're interacting with an NPC or trying to get them to do something maybe that the NPC wouldn't normally be inclined to do, that isn't just itself a skill check. Like, for example, the players might go, hey, does this guy have a family? Well, in the Middle Ages, yeah, that's pretty likely, but maybe not. So then I would give 3 possible outcomes and they'd roll to find out what is true. Or in a fight, if a vampire has successfully, I think you've seen me do this, if a vampire has successfully wounded multiple characters, so there are several people around him bleeding, who's he going to target? You can randomize that.
Yeah, but here's where I'll kind of play devil's advocate, and this is just because, not everybody. I like the idea of a returning villain. I like the idea of the master villain eventually learning the player characters in terms of them becoming a thorn in his side. I don't want always the big bad guy to be doing random stuff. I mean, if Joe's Wizard's been like dropping his minions left and right throughout the dungeon, and they show up finally, he's gonna be like, "I got something for you, Gandalf. I've been waiting for you to show up, and this is what I'm doing."
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what I was getting at is if there's a decent chance of random behavior. So in my
Sure,
example,
yes.
there are multiple bleeding characters around a guy who likes to drink blood. What's he going to do?
Correct.
Right? Like
so-
that
yep.
being random makes sense as compared to same situation, except that one of them's a crusader who just took out half his health.
Right.
Okay, well, it's obvious what he's going to do then.
Right. Take out the holy dude.
And so are you talking about just leaning into the randomness of the dice in your game? I think we've been leaning that way anyway in our discussions recently, right, Joe, about letting, using tables and again, I think it's a control thing. The more I think about it, it's a control thing with me. I hate letting go with the table, but I do see there's fun that I'm missing. I think
you can construct the table.
Correct.
And then you're like, oh, I hope I get that particular result because I really like that encounter. Oh, I didn't get it this time. Maybe next time.
And I've been doing that a lot more.
Yeah.
And then also like those random encounters, you got to go, how does this even make sense? This is here. What does that mean?
Right.
Right.
It could even be a consequence for the campaign that the DM didn't expect. A twist. Yeah, I agree. That's good. Yep.
All right. Well, that was good.
Yeah, it was good.
That was supposed to be. That wasn't supposed to be a full hour discussion, but I thought it would be cool to talk about it because it segues into Randy's dice superstitions.
Yeah, this is kind of a subset of this. It's not really the weirdness, but I was always intrigued. We talk a lot about lucky and unlucky. Like I would call myself a crappy roller, which is, me, Nathan and I, everybody here knows that is not the case. If you have a fairly well-balanced die, everybody rolls the same. And they really do. Now, you could probably, I don't know, relatively speaking, there's no prediction, but it seems like that's our experience that I roll pretty bad. I just don't roll very high. Whereas other players seem to roll really well. I think that leads to some weird things like don't touch another gamer's dice. Have you guys heard that one? That's weird.
Right. Don't touch my dice. We teased about that, but I don't think there's too many that I know that are real serious about that.
Yeah. What about, have you guys ever, I've never done this, put new dice through rituals to make sure that they roll well? That sounds like something I read on Knights of the Dinner Table.
There's the standard, I'm going to sit there and roll it 100 times at the store.
Right.
That particular one, which at the vendors of the, different vents, I'm sorry, but usually that's why they put them in the containers now. Like, here it is.
Martinson told me about putting a D20 in the freezer with the 20 on top, but does that change the chemical composition of the die? I wonder if that's for luck or for cheating. I don't know what that does to the die. Leave it overnight.
But actually, I did this to Todd the other night, but I always put all my dice that are out on the top face.
Yeah. But putting it in the freezer, it's only going to be cold for a little while. It'll come up to temperature pretty fast. It's not.
El's got a comment. He says, the don't touch my dice isn't superstition. It's because gamers are dice thieves. That's not completely wrong.
We all become basically kenders when dice are around. Like, oh, shiny.
It's like the pens.
Yeah. And I knew. Go ahead.
So dice aren't always entirely solid. Or what I mean is, if you choose to leave your dice face up, like Nate was describing, normally with the highest number up, over time, those dice really will, depending on what they're made of and what storage conditions you have, they really will or can start rolling higher because you've effectively created a cheating situation.
Right.
By them slowly warping over time.
Stuff inside settles.
Well, that, and sometimes the if it gets hot enough, if it's a plastic die, for example.
Oh, sure.
This kind of thing, and that's just sitting around in a room. I know of players who have tried using like an oven to do that.
Oh, wow.
you can do that, and that's
Oh,
you'll either
wow.
wreck your die or you'll have created a die that if I catch you with, you'll lose.
Kind of like Magic the Gathering has those spin down counter dice.
yes.
Oh yeah,
If
you
you-
can cheat with those.
Yeah, because they're designed to be weighted so that the 20 can go on top easier.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we had a player who was cheating with those, and I eventually caught him and was like, "All right,
I don't know if I
no
could,
more of that style of dice allowed at the table."
I don't
Oh, I
think
didn't-
I would. I
I
wouldn't
thought they
catch
were
those.
just D20s.
No, they're ordered differently.
Oh,
Right, all the high numbers are on one side.
Oh, okay. I never really looked.
And then it actually is weighted the other way too, a little bit
Mhm.
to sit there better at the table because that's your life counter.
I've never
Yeah.
understood and I've had players that had lucky dice, or I've had a couple players they keep rolling the same D20 every single time, and it roll. Yeah, that's when you roll.
Ryan David says that's when you rule 0, kill them. Lightning bolt from the sky.
Right on. Hmm. Yeah, so I mean, I've always wondered if it was more of a cheat thing, like when players get this is my good die and stuff like that. And I just, like me, I tend to on purpose have several D20, and I don't roll the same one over and over that often. I tend to roll them different ones. So
Yeah, people do tend to have lucky dice sets or lucky dice that they bring. I bring this bag of dice or this set of dice to all the games. I've gone through all my dice and rolled them all multiple times, and these seem to have the highest results, which is still kind of weird. But
and I'm almost positive this was a Knights of the Dinner Table, keeping new dice in a separate bag until they get used to playing the game. And they won't let them mix with their old dice.
in my book bag, or I have the what's it called? The bag of holding.
Yeah.
I have a couple of different dice bags in it, and they come untied all the time and just dump into the pocket that I have them in. And I'll just reach in there, grab a handful of dice, and put them on the table. My dice selection is over.
Another thing that's creepy too is dice rollers, like computerized.
Yes.
They're
They're
not.
not all made equal.
No.
No.
You have to really you have to know what you're doing to get actual random, and then they're pseudo random, because some programs don't let you roll consecutive identical numbers, sets of strings of numbers, because to some people that's not really random, but it is. So
Yeah.
all depends on where you get your random generator from.
What about some people have sets of one color dice? Is that a thing? Any of you guys? Oh, DM Blackwall, you like your dice all the same color, same style?
I actually do that so that I don't do so that it's really obvious which dice are mine. At the end of a night of gaming.
Right.
But also I do that to help prevent myself from getting a lucky dice. I can't tell them apart.
Gotcha. I know I do I've become fond of dice trays, just so they don't go all over the place. I have a couple of dice trays that I really like, and I use the Deadlands one quite a bit, but that's not so much a dice superstition, just something I like. Anything else you could think of that's kind of superstitious around dice that you've experienced?
Hey, before you continue with superstitions, I have to take care of one of my dogs.
Okay. All right. Well, do you guys have anything else? Because I'm kind of done now that Joe left. Perfect timing.
Yeah. So I think for me, I just have bought so many dice over the years that it's a good companion until it goes to the lake or dice heaven, whatever comes first.
Right. Arnman says, I carry 5 sets of white dice with black numbers. That's good. Sounds like something DM Blackwall would approve of.
Oh, sorry. What was that?
Arnman says he carries 5 sets of white dice with black numbers.
That's great.
That's something he would approve of. Bruce Lombardo likes buying identical colored dice. Darth Theak, here's a new one. Sets of dice that belong to a certain character.
Yeah.
I have seen that. Yeah.
I think my problems, I have just so many that instead of the certain characters, it's more of okay, I have a character. This is what they can do. So I make sure I have enough dice plus some for all my attacks.
Yeah.
And like I arrange them so that I know this one goes here, this one goes here. Like if I get 3 attacks, I have like a red, green, and blue dice, and the damage dice is red, blue, green. Follow them along.
Oh yeah, yeah. That makes it easier to roll them all in a batch.
Wow, I need to play with Bert. Ryan David says his partner Bert, one he runs Nerd Cognito with, buys everyone at the table a set of dice for every new campaign. Wow, that's a generous dude. Bert seemed pretty kind. He seems like a nice cat. So
Yeah. So I did want to mention for those who buy Horde Wars Basic, do please leave a review, especially if you like it. Because, yeah, I imagine that will help people who've never heard of it.
yeah, that would be great, especially on Big Geek Emporium. I think we have the option of people giving comments. So absolutely do that. If not, do it in I guess it's not Twitter anymore, right? It's X.
Yeah, well,
X space
you can,
Facebook.
You can hop on there. You're a paying customer.
I am. I plan to. I plan to do that as soon as I'm done. Thank you for reminding me. In fact, let me take a note of that so I don't forget. Rate and review.
Yep.
Horde
We'll be at the event in a month. Is it? What's this one in September called? Big
Geek Con, baby.
Big Geek Con. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's kind of slide into that. So we're going to have Big Geek Con September 22nd, 23rd. Next week will be a month away. Both DM Blackwall and Nathan Lindy will be there. They'll be running Horde Wars, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. We're going to chain them to the tables and they're going to run.
We can do that.
DMing slaves. So it'll be a good time. You'll have fun. There'll be other people. I know Martinson's running a Pathfinder game. I'm going to run my adventure, probably my adventure that I have yet to publish, but soon will be published, and print out some copies and bring some for sale. I got a couple other friends that are running games. I do believe we'll have a higher level 5e game. Somebody in the group's going to be running 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. Flady is running Coalition Palladium, Coalition Rifts. So that's a lot of games. And if we have just 20 people, I think that'll be a lot of games for a lot of people to play. And I can't imagine that a few of our Cabin Con guys will show up with stuff to run. I would also invite folks to bring board games and card games, be willing to run those. I haven't decided fully yet, but I think we'll be taking a mustering approach to the game slots and just say, hey, this is available right now, who wants to play? You guys know, kind of like how we did with Big Geek Con, or Cabin Con, but a little more organized. And I really wish we could have a few more people willing to run games. We'll see how that works out. Got to talk to Joe. We got to get a Discord. What's it called? Not a channel. Biggest Geekus has a Discord channel, but within that we have topics. We're going to have one soon where I'll start posting the games that are being offered and when. I'll be emailing you, DM Blackwall, should be this week, saying, hey, these are the slots. What do you guys want to run? So I'm thinking kind of like Cabin Con, 3 slots, morning, afternoon, evening. And then if you want to play after that or, get up super early and play, it's up to whoever wants to do that. So it'll be fun. So.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yes, Flady, I haven't looked, but I'm getting one. Just answer that. I am trying to get that done. So that's going to happen soon. Oh, Darth is coming. He says he is going to be bringing a couple of Magic the Gathering Commander decks. So that's the format he likes to play. So
I can bring 1 or 2 as well if you want.
And I think Martinson likes Commander. So you may have some takers on that. And I got a buddy that's coming that I know he's a big Magic guy. So it'll be fun. So, I just want people to have a good time and just get to meet the people that are here on the stream. And then of course, hang out with you guys, Nathan and DM Blackwall. It'll be a good time, just like old times this past summer. So it'll be fun. I wish I could have made it to Grand Con. It just wasn't in the cards.
It's a hard time to be in Labor Day weekend.
It's not. Labor Day is not bad for me. It's just this year I've got trust me, I'm working in the house all the way up to start of classes. I've got all the big stuff done. 2 rooms got floored. It's worked out. I did a vacation before that. So the wife's like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't run off and do that. Because if I go to a convention, even if I crashed, maybe your place, I would still spend money. There's no way. There's no way around it.
Yeah. I hate looking at my tab from Comic-Con. I'm like,
oh, you're, what does that mean? You're going to Comic-Con?
Well, I went to San Diego Comic-Con after Comic-Con or your
Comic-Con. Did you? How was that?
So I went last year as well because it's easier to get tickets multiple times once you're in. But because of the strike, a lot of the big events that most people would go to were canceled. And so a lot more people are on the floor and to the lesser panels. And so it was harder to do stuff. So I did a lot more off site. So they had like a big Jurassic Park 30th anniversary kind of animatronic walkthrough place. And that was cool. Did a dance party that was for the X-Men 60th anniversary.
Wow.
Because in the comics right now, they've been doing annuals called Hellfire Gala. And if you read the newest one, it's changed the whole comic universe.
Wow. Jeez.
But so they had that kind of as a dress-up costume party.
Oh, okay. Do you find, is Comic-Con's like, it's big on a scale bigger than even Gen Con, right?
I believe they had 160,000, if I remember the number right.
That's double.
Yeah, it's I think New York Comic Con now is the one was the highest record ever because of the spacing in the venues. Like, because they only can sell so many tickets, it's a lottery.
Yeah. So it's armpits and elbows. Is that what it is the whole time?
It turned into that way more than normal.
Wow.
But like they would have some lines of, like 1,000 people in front of you, you can still get in to some things.
Wow. Oh, so you still buy individual tickets for so you had to buy one for the Jurassic Park thing?
No, that one you just showed up to.
Okay.
So you could have pre-registered your spot in line, but they only had so many spots and they filled up immediately.
I'm an old school comic guy. I'm not much into them, anything past 2010 or 12. But did you find, are there a lot of comics to purchase? Are there a lot of vendors?
They actually had a decent amount. So they have like an artist alley. So like if you've been to a bigger kind of convention, they would have sort of the commercial vendors, and then they would have like an artist alley. And then here they would have also all the book publishers and all the kind of major publishers. And then like all the streaming services would have their own booths and events. But then they have like, I wrote this comic and I'm here to sell it.
Gotcha.
Which is good. So you have a little bit of everything.
Nice.
I know when I was there, the graphic artist for the Matt Cross Delta series, which is where this shirt came from, was there signing autographs. Unfortunately, that line got too big.
Right.
But
we're talking Magic the Gathering?
Comic-Con and Magic the Gathering was a thing too. So, but for Big Geek Con, to get back to that, I think it's going to be, you can buy tickets. What do we say, Joe? We're going to keep it going till, we can't go up till the day before because we got to collect the money too, but maybe the week before we can sell tickets, you think?
Oh, we can sell up to the day before.
And we can sell them the day of. We're going to sell them the day of. It's $30 at tabletop events. You can get the link at Big Geek Emporium, or you can just go directly to tabletop events. Look up Big Geek Con in Saginaw, Michigan. $30 for the 2 days, or $40 at the door. So
also, if you can send me that link, like email it to me.
Yeah.
I've got a couple social media things I can put that on.
That sounds good. We'll do that. Fantastic. Anything else in Big Geek Land you want to update, like on Big Geek Emporium or anything, Joe? I know you told me my adventure is not quite up yet. You ran into some snags, so
yeah, I got a snag to overcome. Let me see if I got an answer.
That's cool. I just didn't know. It's fine. Anything
it's always
else?
good to get another adventure up. or something.
Yeah, well, I'm excited. It's my first real product, and I want to get that done. And I got to get David Will to help me out with the Lulu snag I've hit, and I'm hoping to have printed copies. So, if
Got a
not,
couple of guys working, a couple of devs working on it. They're doing something in the background, so maybe there's some front end effects, and that's why I'm having a snag.
look for it soon. It's called Tragedy at Tygon's Falls, and it is done. The PDF's been sent to Joe. There will be print on demand soon. There's also it's like I think $4.99 for the PDF, and it'll be $10-ish to print, I think. I would look at that to be on there pretty soon, and it's my first adventure connected to. I call it OSR adjacent. There's definitely OSR stuff. It's not a WotC type adventure. It's more of old school. So
Good stuff.
And Randy, how did you feel about, like, we were talking about like just gaming stuff in general the other day?
Yeah.
How did you feel about you were looking at some of the game design for the for our next project?
Oh, your superhero. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
I think that's first. I think it feels it's a I don't want to say the word particular. First of all, I like it, and it's a type of game where I think it has the potential to be able to run, I think, all levels of superheroes. We talked whether Cosmic would work well. I don't know, but it's smooth. You know, if you play Horde Wars and like it, you're going to like their superhero game.
You've played it.
I've looked at it. I hope to play test it. Me and you both.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
we're getting ready for play testing here pretty quick on that, and that'll be probably the
Sweet.
next.
Yeah, I would
Is
love
it
to.
After
similar
the Horde
mechanics,
Wars
or is
event.
it pretty much a departure?
Similar.
So it uses a similar core, other than essentially how durable objects are handled. Because in the modern era, things like we have high explosives for one, and superheroes can Kool-Aid Man walls. Not always, but they can. And so the environment needed to be more destructible than it would be in like a dungeon delve or a place with that's relying on castles to defend themselves.
And also, you have like firearms now.
Right. Right. So there's a whole bunch of, modern era
D8.
rules. But
Guns D8. No problem.
no, I think they need a little more kick than that, probably.
D4 plus 1.
It is a kind of an old question. How much more devastating really is a gunshot, depending on caliber, compared to a stab wound from, say, a claymore or some very hefty sword that goes right through your midsection? So what's worse? I know the bullets have they penetrate, and they have a no, not concatenating. There's a different word. An effect that destroys the tissue around the bullet due to the force that it projects. Swords don't do that because not typically, unless you're like Thor and throw a sword at the speed of a bullet. But larger caliber bullets are going to likely do more damage. But
right, and so that's something that we've played with, and playtesting will show
cavitating
if we've got the right balance. And we have done one round of playtesting before, so this will be our second draft for that game, and I think hopefully it'll go well. And like for Horde Wars, for example, we've done over 1,000 hours of playtesting.
Yep.
And that's helped iron out some of the abilities that if we had just written it and published it, would have been either really broken or confusing, because just by having a bunch of people play it, we got feedback and we're able to correct that.
I think that was clear at CabinCon. The game is smooth. It looks play tested. It looks really good. It is really good. It plays really well.
Yeah.
Anything else, Joe? Or I want to tell everybody, make sure they do check out Horde Wars at Big Geek Emporium, Blackwall Games, Nathan and DM Blackwall's. It's your first shot at game production, and it's a sweet PDF for $5, man. 190 something pages, so can't beat it with a stick.
On the bullet question, for example, at Joe me, for example, a 50 cal round doesn't have to actually hit you to damage you. As long as it's within an inch, it can cause damage. Yeah. So the word finally remembered the word cavitation. That's what they call the force effect surrounding the bullet, what it does to your body. I didn't know this about the 50 cal though.
Wow.
But I'm not surprised. So it's a 50 cal. If you're on the other side of something and it hits that, or it goes by you, like
Just by you.
goes by you that 1 inch. Yeah, I can imagine.
Wow.
Because of the force. This is the speed, and even the rifling on barrels increase that cavitating effect.
Oh, Larry, are you able to use the bookmarks and stuff? We have them in there. I just didn't know if you'd found them yet. Because we have tried to make it easier to get around in the PDF.
I've not got to mess with it that much myself. So,
Well, when I paged through it on my particular PDF program, when I use the scroll, it goes down to the bottom of the page. It doesn't go to the next page. But I've got a button I can click to go to the next page so I can get to all the pages. So I don't know if that's a function of my PDF viewer or how the PDF was set up. But all of the bookmarks for each chapter are in here. Table of contents, each chapter, the sample character sheet, and the blank character sheet. I see all of those.
cool.
All right, good. Because, manually scrolling through like that would not be terribly pleasant.
Hey, does BGE, Joe, does it store our PDFs we purchased for us so I can download them again?
Well, it's not like it has a separate storage. It just provides a link for you.
Okay.
What it stores for you is our links. So it would really be bad if everybody who purchased there had a separate copy in a separate location.
Mm-hmm.
The storage requirements would go out of the roof, and it's really not practical. But it just provides you a link. What it stores for you is a link to the thing. Yeah.
Armin says, put a link to Emporium in the stream info text. Oh, at the end of the show?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they can get right to Horde Wars. Yeah, for sure.
We'll do.
Yeah, and Larry says he did jump around chapters pretty easy for him.
All right, wonderful.
Yeah. So, and Larry got to play that a lot at Cabin Con too. I know he enjoyed it, so it was fun. All right. Anything else, Joe?
No, I am good to go. And actually, that was actually supposed to be my job to ask you that.
Oh, say it. I have nothing else. Thank you for asking. Gentlemen, anything else you want to say before we get you guys out of here?
Thank you for having us on, and hopefully everyone enjoys Horde Wars if you get a chance to see it. We'll be around events. Hopefully you say hi.
All right, bud.
All right. And you're going to be at Grand Con and then Big Geek Con as well. And if there's any other conventions that you're going to be at subsequently, let us know and we can help you get the word out.
Can you put the link to Grand Con also in the show notes? That's also a Michigan Con over in Grand Rapids.
Over in Grand Rapids. So the west side.
I will find Grand Con.
September, Labor Day weekend.
Labor Day weekend.
Gosh, I wish I was going. Dang it.
Okay, yeah. I've got a link I can send.
Oh,
do you guys have a thing at their site that I can point to for games?
Let me try and find that. Yeah.
Exhibitor? You're not an exhibitor.
We are.
You're an
exhibitor?
Yes, okay. They'll be exhibiting their wares.
The Blackwall games.
So if I go here, go to exhibitors, let me find it.
Yeah, we'll be booth 20 now. It was 21, and they changed some things up on us in the last minute.
And that's a medium-sized con. It's like 3
Horde
or 5.
Wars. Here we go. You have a link. Well, it's not a link. You're just on the exhibitors page.
Yep.
There's no link. There's not a link for you.
Big Greek Con's not 2 weeks. I believe that's a month. It's
a month.
Grand Con is in 2 weeks.
Gotcha.
Yeah, if you go to the Grand Con website and then you register for the con, there's a spot where you can sign up for games, and you can find. I think we're running 5 games at that convention.
Cool.
And then we'll also have a booth because we have one, we want to be able to talk with you aside from just running the games, and two, we have some merchandise for sale as far as like some 3D printed things and that kind of stuff for anyone who's interested in just general role-playing game materials.
Well, good deal. Anything else you guys want to say before we go?
No, it was great being here.
The square.
Great being here. Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, if you'd like to support the show, please subscribe, subscribe and share us where you are listening or viewing the show. Check us out on the socials, video and podcast places as well. If you'd like to throw us some cash support, you can go to PayPal, Streamlabs, Ko-Fi, Patreon, or Big Geek Emporium and buy some stuff there. We are on the web there at Big Geek Emporium. You can send us an email at thegeeks@biggestgeekspodcast.com if you want to let us know anything or ask questions. Are we ready to go?
Let's do it, bro.
All right. Well, this is Joe.
And I'm Randy.
And remember, if you can't be big like us, then be geeks like us.